Hey guys, welcome back to another snapshot video. Today we got a big one again. Lots of new features got added. We have lots of changes and a lot of bug fixes. Let's start actually with the, in my opinion, most interesting feature. It's the new moss block. So here we got the new moss block. This is the block placing sound and block breaking. Looks a bit like green wool, but it's definitely different from it. I feel like there's something the game has been missing. It's definitely a good addition in terms of building with it. I can definitely imagine that I want to gather a lot of those moss blocks and use it in all kinds of builds. Alright, so let's continue to talk about what I can do with the moss block. So first of all, there's also moss carpet, which works pretty much like normal carpet. The difference is it's not movable. That also means you can't make a moss carpet duper, in case you want to try that, like the first thing I did. So this wouldn't work, so you can just punch it out. And you can also punch out the moss block, by the way, and both those would drop in item form. In order to get the moss carpet, you just need to craft 2 moss block into 3 moss carpets, so similar like crafting wool into carpet. What makes the moss block really interesting, in my opinion, is its ability to convert other blocks into moss blocks. So this would work with dirt, sand, gravel, and even stone. So all you need to do is bone meal a moss block that has an air block above, and it would convert the surrounding blocks into moss blocks as well, and also generate grass on top, and also sometimes the azalea plant, even a second variant of it. So I couldn't bone meal this one here, because there's already the grass on top. Always need to make sure that there's an air block above. So here we got the flowering azalea plant. And yeah, this is super useful. So this will only convert blocks at the same height. So if you want to do terraforming, at least if you want to go step up, you need to place one again. And then you can convert a whole landscape into the moss block. Unfortunately, it doesn't really work with grass blocks. It would work with dirt, but not with grass directly. Okay, also it generates moss carpet sometimes. There's also a way how you could farm those. So using the moss block and some bone meal, you can convert, for example, this boring stone platform into a nice looking garden. You can also see what the range is of this effect. It's up to 7 by 7. It's random how far it would actually bone meal. But as you can see, this time we got 35 moss block and some azalea plants on top. Yeah, and even some grass there and more carpet. And here's actually the really interesting part. Obviously, you could create stone with a normal stone generator using lava and water. And then you convert that stone into moss, punch it out with a piston, and put it into the composter. So I'm pretty sure it should be possible to make a self-sustainable bone meal farm this way. You can see you don't need a lot of those moss blocks to fill the composter, and it only takes you 1 bone meal to generate all of that. So I'm pretty sure it should be doable to make a bone meal farm out of that. Might also be fixed in the next snapshot. Quite sure this might not be intended. By the way, the moss carpet is also compostable, and the azalea plant as well. So even some extra bone meal, in case you make sure you also get those items somehow. There are also 2 new types of leaf blocks. So we got the azalea leaf block and the flowering azalea leaf block. At the moment, I could only get those from the creative menu. I think they're supposed to be part of a new tree. They would generate one of the new biomes indicating a lush cave below. So here I converted some of the oak leaves into azalea leaves. Might give you an idea how the tree might look like. So I also tried breaking those leaves, and sometimes they would drop sticks like normal leaves, and also the azalea plant. So it looks like the azalea plant is like a sapling. So at the moment you can't really bone meal them, but I'm pretty sure those will act like saplings and they can grow trees out of those. Let's continue with more new blocks that got added. Here we got rooted dirt. At the moment there's no crafting recipe for that. I could imagine that maybe one of the new trees could convert dirt into rooted dirt somehow. And there's also hanging roots. Those will probably generate in caves at the ceiling. Also kind of interesting. At the moment you can actually move them. You don't even need a supporting block. That means you also can't dupe them at the moment. I think if they would break, but still be movable, then we could probably do them. Doesn't matter. This might even be fixed soon in 1.17, so all the carpet duping and TNT duping issues. Okay, let's continue with the Spore Blossom. That one is interesting because it drips particles. Let's continue with Glowberries and Hanging Vines. We will probably come across those in the new cave biomes that will be added later. So the Glowberry is a food source, you can eat it, and you can also place it down and get the Hanging Vines. Those will also grow random tick based, so it's at the random tick speed a bit higher. And they have a generator when they grow to also generate Glowberries. But looks like there's no possibility that more Glowberries would generate on existing hanging vines. Only if a new hanging vine block will grow, there's a chance that it has a Glowberry. So you couldn't use this as a Glowberry farm, so you can only harvest it once, and then it needs to basically grow again. Let's try that. See if we can get new ones. Yeah, there we go. We got new Glowberries. The light level they emit is, by the way, I think 8. We checked this out. No, it's actually higher. It's 13. Probably depends on the amount of Glowberries we have there. Yeah. 13, it seems like. Perfect. Alright, then, yeah, you can also bone meal the hanging vines to get more Glowberries and harvest it by right-clicking it. The foxes can also eat those Glowberries, by the way. I tried to make an automatic Glowberry farm using the foxes, but I had no success so far. So the idea was that we have a dispenser here that continuously bone meals the hanging vines, and the foxes would harvest those. Since they have an item in their mouth, the item would drop. But so far, I didn't get any. Maybe if you have more time, we can try that again. Not sure if it's possible to make a fully automatic Glowberry farm this way. I tested a different setup later, so it's possible to make a fully automatic Glowberry farm using a setup like this. But you always need to bone meal the hanging vines directly. They wouldn't grow otherwise. So yeah, foxes harvest the berries, items drop down and are collected here. Just have to spend some bone meal on it, so you can also get automatically. So let's continue with 2 more plants that got added, the small Dripleaf and the big Dripleaf. The Wandering Trader has a chance to sell you the small Dripleaf, which can be placed underwater, so it's the waterlogged state, or on clay blocks. So underwater it works on dirt blocks, it seems like, but not on sand, for example, and doesn't work on gravel. Seems like it needs to be on dirt. If we go above water, then we couldn't place this on normal dirt again, but it works on clay blocks underwater as well. If you bone meal it, it would actually turn into the big Dripleaf, which you can also break, and then it would also drop in item form. So we got 1 more big Dripleaf. And you can also keep bone mealing the big Dripleaf. You always have to bone meal the head directly, so you couldn't bone meal it down there. Not quite sure how you're supposed to do this in survival. So if you stand on top of it, then you would kind of glitch through because it grows. Maybe use some twisting vines next to it. Climb up those and keep bone milling it this way. Yeah, that's probably a way I will probably do it. Okay, so the interesting part about the big Dripleaf plant is you stand on it, after a while it would fold in and then it would fall through. About 2 seconds. And after a while it would also get back to the default state. The interesting part is you can also detect it using the observer, so it has some stages. Check the F3 menu. Tilt, unstable, partial, full. Okay, so over here. So detected. So this could even be used maybe in combination with maybe an armor stand or minecarts for redstone signal. This is reliable. Be a quite interesting delay, but it's probably not the easiest way to achieve something, but yeah, might be an option here and there. Actually, jumping might be the best way to grow this plant. Yeah, this is so much easier. At the moment, it seems like Dripleaf is also not really farmable, so if we try to break the big one here, it would only drop a single one. So it doesn't matter if we use shears or silk touch, so you break it from the bottom, and it would only drop a single one. Also, if you start breaking it from the top, then the parts below would also break. There we go. So it seems like that's really the way to go. The Wandering Trader could maybe be the only source of the small Dripleaf, and you have to bone mill it into the big one, and then continue bone milling it forever you might need it. At the moment it looks like it's not really farmable. There's two more things about the Dripleaf. So if you jump on it, you can also prevent it from tilting. So just keep jumping. Another way is actually to crouch. Then it also wouldn't tilt. I also tried crawling. Yeah, it still tilts after a while. Yeah. And you can also break the big Dripleaf by using any projectile on it. This way you can also break it. So those were all the new blocks that got added. Let's continue with the copper block. Some changes were made to that. So first good news, the copper stairs got cheaper. We can now use the stone cutter to craft slabs and stairs. That is first good news. Also, it won't take as long to age the copper anymore, and it's now random tick based, so you can just increase the random tick speed, for example, in a creative world. It shouldn't take that long till that copper block is converted. Also depends on a distance to the other copper blocks now. Let's see if we can actually do this. Just want to see some of this copper being aged. There we go, the first one. Since it's now random ticked, can basically happen as soon as you place it down. So that's about 1000 times quicker. But it's probably no longer a matter of multiple real-life days to get a fully oxidized copper block. Only a matter of a couple hours, it seems like. Yeah, it's definitely a lot quicker. And there's even more good news. Copper just became renewable. Drowned previously, when killed by a player, had a chance to drop a gold ingot. From now on, they will drop a copper ingot. Let's actually see if we can get one. Chances are really low, actually. Not quite sure if we actually get one. Nope. So the copper farm definitely won't be super powerful. Also considering the spawn rates of the drowned and the farms you can make there. There we go, we got a copper ingot. Yep. So technically it's renewable, and it will definitely also be, for technical servers, a really good option to get a lot of copper, because you can always scale up the mob farms, but there will be a limit to how powerful this can be. But at least it's an option. There's also a couple more things the Sculk sensor can now detect, for example a bell ringing, or a minecart moving, or a shulker opening or closing, or the player finishing drinking a potion. So there's a whole new list of new things that got added, but I'm quite sure this will not be the last type of things we can detect with Sculk sensor. It's probably best to wait until the end of the 1.17 snapshots and then make a summary video about all of those changes. Let's continue with changes to powder snow. Those are quite interesting. We can now convert skeletons into strays by freezing them. So here we got just a normal mob spawner, skeleton mob spawner. Skeletons are passing through the powder snow very slowly, and at the bottom they would be converted into strays. This is probably not too useful, since strays drop exactly the same unless they're killed by the player. Then they would drop some slowness arrows. So technically you can make a slowness arrow farm using just a normal skeleton spawner now. Not entirely sure how useful that would be, but it's an option, I guess. But it's more changes to powder snow. This one is actually really interesting for technical contraptions. It's movable now. So it's basically a block you can place, and also using the dispenser remove again, using a bucket, but it's also movable, so there's all kinds of contraptions would be possible now, where you can just hide away the blocks later in a dispenser. Would get quite complicated though, but yeah, it's an option. Then one more thing, Fox is now able to walk on top of powder snow. Let's try it out, actually I haven't done it yet. Oh, that one is inside. Wasn't intended. Poor Fox. Refreezing there, let's push him on top of the powder snow. Yeah, they can run on top of it now. And one more thing, flame arrows would also get extinguished and converted to normal arrows if you shoot it through. Let's get one real quick. So just a quick test. Let's shoot a flame arrow through the powder snow. Oh, the other side is still a flame arrow. Might not be 100% reliable. This one definitely got extinguished. Or it depends a little bit on the speed. Yeah. So moving on, let's continue with the bug fixes. So 2 weeks ago in the snapshot, we were testing if mobs still suffocate when they grow up. So let's just use the same testing setup as 2 weeks ago. So first one is we had a couple of baby chickens in there, in a cobweb. And they no longer glitch into the blocks on the side and suffocate. Okay, that's really good news. Then we also had similar setup. We summoned in baby cows. Oh, anti-cramming. And did we get a cow explosion again? No. They will stay inside of the little containment here. Seems like this bug is actually fixed now. 2 weeks ago, I also showed you my struggles with the client desync bug when dismounting a boat. Unfortunately, this still hasn't been entirely fixed. So I still get the ghost blocks when mining. Or if I try to shoot bow, it's a lot more random than usual. And we get really weird arrow shots. So that's still an issue for me. There we go, completely random. Alright, so that's all I got for today. Thanks guys for watching and see you next time. Bye bye.